Okay, so good evening. So for tonight's final little slot, we have some insights into Chanukah. And what I would like to share with you in the short time that we have is that lovely minhag of the Dreidel. Now, it's an established minhag in Klal Yisrael, spinning the Dreidel on Chanukah. What is that all about? What is the idea? They say that the Chasam Sofer had a silver Dreidel, and when important, distinguished guests came to visit him, he would actually spin the dreidel in front of them. And he said that it's an expression of Pirsumei Nisa, which is a major feature of Chanukah. We put the menorahs either outside our house or by the front window to be mefarsim, to publicize the nes. And therefore, if important guests came to visit the Chasam Sofer, he would actually spin the dreidel in front of him with a very beautiful dreidel. That's part of the Pirsumei Nisa. But what's the dreidel all about? What is the connection with Chanukah? So I want to share with you three ideas that I've seen which I think are very interesting. The first is perhaps the most well-known, and that is brought in the Sefer Tamei HaMinhagim, a very well-known Sefer, written in the 19th century, a collection of all the Minhagim and the reasons for the Minhagim of Klal Yisrael. So in Siman Tov Nun Tes, he says the following. This is, if you're listening online, please email me and I'll send you the handout, j.golker@gmail.com. Says the Tamei HaMinhagim, Tam shemesachakin bedreidel, Svivon is got in brackets, b'Chanukah. The reason why we play dreidel on Chanukah, of a Purim begrega. And in contrast, when it comes to Purim, the thing that we give to the children or whoever is the grega, is the Ra'ashan, it says in the brackets, to b'Chanukah lo ha'isa hisoros memata. Because on Chanukah, the hisoros, the desire to do tshuva, did not come from within, from downstairs, from us, in other words. Rak mil'ela, it came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki lo also tshuva kahegen. In the time of Chanukah, the Jewish people did not do tshuva properly. Rak Hashem yisbarach berachmov, it was only because of the mercy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He intervened. Lochein mesachakin bedreidel. Therefore, to represent this, we play a dreidel. We hold the dreidel, you spin from the top. That represents the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu intervened, even though we may not have been worthy. Of a Purim, shegazru tzoim v'sak v'efer yotzul rabim, where the Bnei Yisrael did do tshuva properly, v'hoyes hisoros milamata, and the sort of the hisoros, the inspiration came from down, from us. Al kain eichsen milmata. Where do you hold the grega? You hold the grega at the bottom, and you spin it that way. And therefore, the two minhagim of Chanukah and of Purim, the dreidel and the grega, represent the different aspects of Hashem's intervention. The hisoros on Chanukah time came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu because our tshuva was lacking a little bit, and therefore you do the dreidel from on top, representing the yad of Hashem intervening, and the Purim, the grega, it came from us, and therefore we do the grega, which is that way around. That's, I think, quite a well-known reason. Now, there are two more reasons which, I must be honest with you, they were chidushim to me, and I saw both of these reasons in an article by Rabbi Mordechai Becher, but I've got the sources that he brings in front of us. Now, let me read you, the first one is to do with the Daled Malchus. Let me read you the connection to dreidel is only in the footnotes, but let me give you the background of this fascinating Bnei Yissaschar. This is typical Bnei Yissaschar. Goishna. Heimo Koiches Daled Malchus. We know that there are four kingdoms that have oppressed the Jewish people over the centuries and are responsible for our galus. What are they? They are Bavel, Babylonia, Paras, Persia, Yavon, Greece, and Edom, Rome. So there are four Malchus. Now, Asher Haim, on the top line of the Bnei Yissaschar, Besitra Acha, the Yetzer Hara, Menagdim La'arba Koiches. The Sitra Achra, the Yetzer Hara, arouses these four kingdoms. Asheim B'Kedushas Yisrael B'Soid Nafshesehem. They attack the Jewish people to their very core. V'hu Goishna. Now, what is Goishna? Rosh Tevas Gufni Sichli Nafshi Hakol. What does that mean? That each one of the four Goliaths, that means Babylonia, Persia, Greece, and Rome, attack different aspects of the Jewish people. The first one is the guf, then the seichel, then the nefesh, and then hakol, which means all three of them together. We've seen this. For example, in the Chanukah story, Yavon tries to attack the seichel of Klal Yisrael. They want to Hellenize us. They don't, if we Hellenize and take on their ways, we're welcome. Other nations have taken a different stance. Right? In the Second World War, you could become as Aryan as you want, but that's not going to save you. So there are different attacks over the Jewish people over the years, and the four kingdoms, the four attacks are on the Guf, the Nefesh, the Seichel, and the Hakol, all three together. So Hakol, Hainu Malchus Arvias, Hakoleres Kulam Hinagdias Nefesh Hakoleres. Valkein, Misnagedes Leguf Nefesh Seichel Kamulel. They attack these aspects of the Jewish people. Or Bittel Kulam, when will these four kingdoms fall? Beshleimus Alidei Moshiach. When Moshiach comes, that will destroy, if you like, or end the four Goliaths, which is Goishna, because those are the four things they're attacking: Guf, Seichel, Neshama, and Hakol. Interestingly, he says the gematria of Moshiach is 358, which is the same gematria as Goishna. It's because it will negate it. Now, the source of the four kingdoms which attack in Klal Yisrael, which is, he says, the Sitra Achra, the Yetzer Hara, is really coming from the Nochash. The Nochash represents the Yetzer Hara, going back to the story of Adam and Chava, and the Nochash is also the same gematria as 358, same gematria. Asher mimenu koyach hamalchus, because that's the source of their koyach. Va'oz yebim her b'yameinu, havoya melech al kol haaretz. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will then, when Melech Mashiach dismisses the Nochash, which is the four Malchias, then by Yom Hahu Yashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. Therefore, listen to this is astonishing. Hashem Melech, Hashem Molach, Hashem Yimlech L'Olam V'Oed. The gematria of Hashem Melech, Hashem Molach, and Hashem Yimlech is also 358. In other words, the Moshiach will be the time which will bring in the era of Hashem Melech, Hashem Molach, Hashem Yimlech L'Olam V'Oed, which will dissipate, which will destroy the four Malchias, which get that, which is Gematria Goishna, which the four things they're attacking, which is 358, which is again powered, as it were, by the Nochash, which is the Sitra Achra. Hine, L'Kol Eile Osa Yaakov Avinu Hachona. And that's really what Yaakov Avinu was doing, because he went to Goishna. He went to Goshen to instill in the very DNA of the Jewish people the ability to cope with the four Goliaths. Now, what did he do? When he went, who did he send down? Tekef V'Ascholos B'Yosem Mitzrayim Golus Sharashi, which is the prototype Goliath. Hine Es Yehuda Shalach Lefonav El Yosef. He sent Yehuda down to Yosef. How interesting. Soid train Mashichin, Soid train Smichas Gulul Tefillah. That is this, because the two, Yehuda and Yosef, is Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, who's from Yehuda. So he's preparing in Goshen the ultimate salvation of Mashiach, which is Gematria 358, which is going to counter all these things. So that's just the Hakdama. That's the Hakdama of, you see there's so much more going on over here. You see pictures in Hamadiyah of Gedolim spinning dreidels. There's a lot more going on, right? It's not all about chocolate coins and Smarties or whatever else is in the middle of the table. So what you see from this Bnei Yissaschar, again, as a Hakdama, is that the four Malchus, the four kingdoms that have oppressed the Jewish people, Bavel, Poras, Yavon, and Edom, they are attacking different aspects of Klal Yisrael: the Guf, the Seichel, the Neshama, and Hakol, all three together. That is Gematria 358. Its source of that Tumah, which is the Sitra Achra, comes from the Nochos, which is Gematria 358. When Moshiach comes, also Moshiach Gematria 358, will bring in the era of Hashem Melech, Hashem Molach, Hashem Yimlech, which is Gematria 358, and that's what Goishna is. Goishna, Yaakov Avinu anticipated this and prepared Klal Yisrael for it by sending down Yehuda to meet Yosef, by making Moshiach, by from those two their descendants, to counter Goshen, the attacks of the Daled Malchias. Now, in the footnotes, he says Hagor Bozeh Tovin Minag Avosenu Torah Asher Minag B'mei Chanukah, to spin the dreidel. What's that got to do with it? So he says something fascinating, because each side of the dreidel represents Gimel Shin Nun Hey, represents one of the Daled Malchias. Now, ultimately, each one will fall, and the two constants of the dreidel, which means the top and the bottom, the top represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the hand, as it were, that spins the dreidel, that sort of puppeteers the whole of human history, And the point is the Jewish people, which is sort of the point around which history revolves. So you see that the 2 points will come together and will emerge victorious when the 4 nations, the 4 kingdoms fall. And when we unite with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's when the 4 nations will fall. So that's one idea. So the extremes will be united, and Klal Yisrael will bring the whole world together in you sort of united service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's one aspect of Dreidel according to the Bnei Yissaschar. Very, very interesting idea. One final point for those who like science. This is an idea that Rabbi Becher brings in the name of Shlomo Fisher. Rabbi Shlomo Fisher was one of the Gedolim in Eretz Yisrael, one of the great poskim, and he's got a sefer called Beis Yishai, and he gives a slightly different reason. Now, if you take a look at the bottom box, V'hinei b'bnei Yissaschar, b'rav tam l'minach ha'masachik b'svivon b'Chanukah, etc., etc. So he's referencing the above reason. That's number one. V'nira oid, I've got another reason, he said. The Romez l'sukas David haniris noifeles. It refers to the sukas David which falls, ve'ena noifeles. Shehasvivon ha'etzorich loima, tzorich lios noifel al pi chukei hateva. You've got a spinning top, you've got a dreidel, and you just let it go there and stand it up, it will fall over. Gravity will make it fall down. But spinning tops, when you spin them, they make use of something called angular momentum to defy gravity. Now, what does that mean? And this is what he's saying. If you look in the brackets, which means that the dreidel hugs the vertical axis as it rotates, and as friction sort of slows down the spin, the dreidel's center of mass leans outwards and gravity will pull it down. That's how the dreidel works, if you like, in physics. Now, it emerges, therefore, that the faster you're spinning it, the more stable it's going to be, because the effect that the gravity is going to produce is going to be too small to make it fall. Therefore, says Shlomo Fisher, to stay upright, the dreidel has got to be spinning. The faster it's spinning, the more stable it's going to be, and the less effect gravity will have on it. And he says that is a remez. That's a remez to Klal Yisrael. That like the dreidel, the Jewish people, if it's left to sort of natural or political or sociological forces, then it will fall. But it's only because we're constantly spinning, which is an expression of continuously sort of engaged with the energy of Torah and mitzvahs, that the more we spin, the more we're able to stay upright. And therefore, the spinning of the dreidel represents the sort of defying the pull of gravity, whatever that is, to pull us down. The more we're spinning by energetically keeping Torah and mitzvahs, the more we're going to stay upright, and the less the forces of gravity, whatever they may be, to pull us down. So you see that there's lots going on with the dreidel that meets the eye when you're playing at the table and playing for coins or peanuts or whatever it may be. Lots of different ideas, the Talmei HaMinhagim, the Bnei Yissaschar and Shlomo Fisher, to give us some food for thought over Chanukah.